Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into another episode of the Psychotherapist Podcast. I am your psycho host, Malcolm Clancy, and with me is my therapist co-host, Dr. Bob. We had a packed agenda item list going into this therapy session, starting with my 3 items. I wanted to discuss my updated goals list. I wanted to discuss my quarantine blues and how I want to murder my family. And number 3, I wanted to rant about politics, nothing too specific. Wanted to get his Dr. Bob's perspective on a few things. Dr. Bob's 3 agenda items going into this was, number 1, who is going to pick up the Excalibur golden mic from the now dearly departed Rush Limbaugh. Number 5, vaccination. Is it a hope or a hoax? And number 3, he asked me, yay or nay, am I going to see a pulmonologist? We go on many epic tangents for this episode, including weaponizing animals, how to kill elephants, all kinds of good stuff. We're working on a book about scapegoating and group psychosis, so really fun episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. We'll get a quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll get the show started. Today's show is brought to you by rock cones. Do rock cones actually sponsor us? No, but I am personally fucking sick of having to go to the fucking town to find a pack. Everywhere I go, around my local fucking gas stations and shit, oh, we don't have supply. We would have rock cones, but the fucking quarantine and we're down on supply. And the only way we're gonna fix that problem for me guys is for everyone, I don't care if you smoke or not, to buy more rock cones. Rock cones are fucking ill. You can pack really fat joints in them. I don't care if I'm using my platform to manipulate the market. That's just how this shit goes. Buy rock cones. Hey Bob, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sorry about that. My phone was bugging the fuck out.
Okay. I'm sorry for all the delays on my end. I'm just trying to get my somebody over here to shovel off the snow. We got hit again last night where I live. How about you?
Yeah, we definitely got some inches.
Yeah. I would say we've got 6 inches or so, but you know, the cars are tough. It's tough for me to do it around the driveway is so narrow. So I was trying to get a hold of the 2 people to do it for me, and finally one of them just got back to me. So I'm sorry for the delay.
It's no worries. It's their fucking fault.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I said it's the guys who hired. It's their fucking fault. They should have been on time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they should have been reachable. It's just very typical. But I'm not going to get into that today, but do you need some additional time to get set up?
No, I'm good to go.
What happened to your phone?
First, I didn't even see your call. I just, because I had an eye on my phone, but all of a sudden missed call popped up. And then I, open it to call you, and it keeps going to different screens, and it's like has a mind of its own, and I got it now, so we're good.
Okay. Yeah, I hate it when they go renegade on you. When the phone goes rogue. It kind of screws everything up,
Yeah, it does not happen to me very often, but it happened just now. So
I wanted to ask you something in retrospect, kind of, because I haven't asked you in weeks, but you were playing around with, was it Robinhood, or the Robinhood app?
Yeah.
Robinhood, and then all the crap hit the fan. What happened to you with that?
Well, I had 0 investments in AMC or GameStop, so it didn't affect me at all.
Okay.
And I didn't, care about either one of those things. Because for one thing, both of those, if you look at just the 5-year data, it's like pretty much a flat, gently going down line. So it's like, why would I want to invest in those things? And if I knew about the Reddit shit ahead of time, I'd be like, you know, the fucking Wall Street's gonna crack down on you guys, so I'm just keeping my hands clear of that kind of thing.
Yeah, you had a sense about Reddit.
No, I'm saying if I did, like if I was in on it and I knew ahead of time that people were gonna be doing this, I wouldn't be like, ooh, let's try to make a quick buck. I'd be like, this could cause some legal shit. I don't, you know, I don't want to be involved. But the only thing that it did affect me, I had a little bit invested in silver,
Okay.
and I don't know what the deal was, because after GameStop there was some kind of plot going on with manipulating silver, so I couldn't buy anymore, but I could still sell and close. And I just like closed out my position because I'm like, fuck you, Robinhood. And
Yeah.
I had very little in precious metals anyway, so I didn't really give a fuck.
I mean, aren't the precious metals primarily come from China?
I don't know, and it's really kind of funny because I've been thinking about the morality of my own investing. Because I should probably look into what companies, you know, are Chinese companies. Like, I invested in Yum China, and you know, I closed out that position actually later because I'm like, I don't know if I want to invest in anything with China in the name, because I was thinking about this recently, you know, about as far as what we do about that geopolitical threat.
Right.
And do we go to war? Do we do this? Do we do that? I think, and I'm sure there are plenty of smart people who could, you know, push back on me on this, but I think the best thing to do is just starve the beast and not invest and not buy their products and not do business with them, you know?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. You know, the question is, you know, there are so many products that are made in Japan that, you know, if Trump stayed as president, we would have continued with the push to make America, because that's what was happening. But I have a feeling this guy will sell out on that.
Who, Biden?
Go for the better deal, you know, and sell out to China.
No, I think Biden's pretty strong on China. He stood up on those concentration camps, dude.
Yeah, I know it. What a bozo.
I was just...
I agree with feeding the beast. I mean, you know, the whole idea, you know, if we could make it here, get it here, be conscientious about buying it if it's made here.
Yeah, I mean...
Safety reasons alone, children's toys and things like that.
Yeah, safety's a good argument, and also just you know, having the medical products come back here, because realizing how much, you know, I heard some people criticize Trump like, oh, is it really a good idea to piss off the people who manufacture all our medical stuff? But I'm like, aren't you kind of alarmed by the bigger question of like just the fact that they have that over us? Like, are you really gonna cuck out to them? You know, just to fucking diss Trump? It's just, I don't know, man. And you have the NFL players singing, or what? No, the NBA players fucking refusing to criticize them. It's just so obvious what's going on. And as far as I'm concerned, we kind of created this monster. As far as like, you know, Nixon opening up to China, and there were definitely benefits, but I think we're kind of now seeing some of the consequences.
Absolutely. I mean, when China saw the potential for money in basketball in the Olympics and stuff, they didn't have probably 10 basketball players in the whole country out of 2 billion people. And they started building these progressive camps in schools and institutions where you started out kids who were tall and seemed to have some athletic prowess, like Yao Ming. And, you know, you went to school there and you lived there. And, you know, you were trained to how to play basketball. And that's how his life was. I mean, he was taken away from his parents at a young age, and they were educated parents who placed in one of these basketball institutions. And eventually they kind of grew the relationship out of, you know, basically it was out of the goodness of the, you know, the American, the people in the field like Red Auerbach from the Celtics who just wanted to grow the sport internationally. But the Chinese took advantage of it, and somewhere along the line flipped the switch. I mean, and when people, I know you don't follow basketball as much as I do, when people like Jeremy Lin a few years ago came in from China, you know, it was like, you know, they called it Linsanity, because in Houston, where there are a lot of Chinese people, they were just going crazy, you know, and buying, you know, selling out all the games and listening to games on radio and TV. It was wild. So it didn't take much for, you know, the greedy people in the NBA to sell out to them at all.
Yeah. I mean, it really is, you know, as much as I can demonize China, those godless fucking CPP bastards, at the end of the day, it is our own corporations and such and our leaders and stuff that are selling out to them. And, you know, can I really hate on China for just playing the geopolitical game that everyone's been playing for millennia?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know?
This is an interesting story, something I didn't plan on speaking about today, but did you hear the latest news out of China that the animals that are responsible for the virus it's not just bats, it's also rabbits. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that one.
Okay, I don't know if you remember that I told you, I may not have told you because it really is not information I should be sharing, but way back in the beginning, I called a retired Navy SEAL, and he's still active, and I asked him what he thought about the whole thing, and he said to me, Bob, they opened the door to a lab, and a little rabbit ran out across the field. And I thought he was just joking, you know, it was just something he was joking about. Actually, he was talking to me in code. It might have been a freaking rabbit. I couldn't believe it. And I've been trying to reach him for the last week. I haven't been able to reach him at all. But I thought about that, and I said, you know, why would he say that, you know, that the rabbit got out of the lab and, you know, ran across the field and contaminated the world. And then I hear this thing about rabbits may have been the carrier from the lab, from the synthetics that were made in the lab.
Yeah.
I just found that fascinating.
It really is, and I'm thinking, you know, I was thinking for a minute, why rabbits, but I don't know much about pest control and how easy it is to, like, handle them, but I mean, if you want a fucking diseased animal spreading disease, it's good to have one that breeds, you know, like bunnies.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he didn't hit me right away, and then I thought about it. I said, son of a gun, I think he was talking to me in code. And then the more I heard on the news, I said, he really was. He was telling me exactly what happened. Because he did hold to the theory that it was made in the lab, and animals were used to disseminate it. And, you know, because I thought, what a funny thing to say in China, a little rabbit running across the field, you know?
Yeah.
And then it comes out this week.
That's fucking nuts.
Isn't that crazy?
That's fucking wild. So you can't, I don't need to censor any of that now because it's public knowledge?
Yes, public knowledge now, so you don't need to censor it.
Okay, cool.
And I certainly didn't give you his name or anything like that, but I didn't get it at the time. He
Sorry.
gave me no indication.
Sorry, Bob, real quick. You mentioned he was, and you want me to censor that? Just one less?
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
please.
Gotcha. Will do.
Yeah, interesting, and we never knew what he did for years and years and years. He's slightly older than me. I mean, he's supposed to be retired now, but apparently he's still involved in the intelligence part of it in some end.
Man, that's
So
fucking
that's just a
wild.
little aside.
Yeah.
Makes you think, huh?
The plot fucking thickens, bro.
Yeah. The plot thickens, yeah.
Yeah. And it's so just wild just to throw out some quick little fun historical facts. People have weaponized animals forever.
Yeah.
I mean, the horse is the obvious example, but the Mongols basically fucking catapulted some dead rotted cows into a city and caused the bubonic plague, theoretically.
Yeah, oh yeah, they had it down, didn't they?
the Mongols were by any means necessary kind of people. They were very sort of ruthlessly pragmatic in that sense. But just one more fun little example: the Romans, when they were fighting elephants, set pigs on fire and set them in the direction of the elephants to make them panic. I don't know if it worked or not, but it's fucking just a bunch of pigs on fire running around.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So the Romans set the pigs on fire and threw them at the elephants?
Yeah, and try to basically stampede them towards the elephants to cause them to panic. They also tried putting chariots, kind of like in Star Wars in The Empire Strikes Back, when they tie up those big walker machines. They got these chariots with ropes to try to wrap around the elephants and trip them up.
Wow.
They did all kinds of. There's a lot of different ways to fight elephants, Bob's.
There you go. Holy cow.
It's a different kind of animal, you know.
Yes,
I just love the way Dan Carlin, put it. He's just when we're talking about say the Punic Wars, he's just just imagine fighting a fucking elephant in hand-to-hand combat with a spear.
Right.
It's crazy.
101 ways to kill an elephant.
Yeah, I'll write the book.
You should. I thought about that. We should write something. I'm thinking probably should. Maybe hone in on a particular topic where it could use some historical perspective, which you could provide. Maybe some, clinical kind of.
Yeah, so do you want to talk about your book for a second? Just because, I think it'd be something you should bring back.
Well, I could really use your writing skills, but I was writing it in a way that it would be hard for you to know what I was talking about clinically. And then when I look at what's going on, in the world, the whole interest I had was so specific, to a kind of condition, borderline disorder. It would be more interesting to think along the lines of, the Trump derangement syndrome, and maybe look more, because really there is a historical perspective. It does follow along the lines of other people who've been scapegoated throughout history, or have been seen as evil or destructive, and I mentioned jokingly, like the Salem, Jesus Christ, those sorts of people. And you have a historical perspective on that, thinking about that over time.
Yeah, man, and I can tell you just right off the bat, there's a whole spectrum of figures that have been scapegoated that were, some of them were just maybe evil and deserved it, but, there are figures like, Marie Antoinette, who was just she's Austrian, so she's a fucking whore and we all hate her,
Exactly. That's the kind of thing.
Louis the 16th wasn't an evil tyrant, but, he was just kind of a weak, indecisive leader who didn't know what he was doing, so he ended up on the guillotine.
Right, and you could probably come up with at least half a dozen of those, right?
Kaiser Wilhelm is another good example, because he was Hitler before Hitler, but then after, when Hitler came, we kind of remember him almost as a goofball.
Yeah, all I remember the helmets that they wore during his time. Weren't they the ones with the pointing thing on
The little
top?
spikes, yeah.
Yeah. Alright, put that on the back burner. Okay?
Yeah.
We'll keep it there, okay?
Okay, but yeah, if you want to send me anything, I would be more than happy to ghostwrite whatever, bro. Even if it's a little technical, you can still send it to me and I can figure it out, and if I can't, we can talk about it later.
Okay, well I know I wouldn't be able to do that right away, but I will keep thinking about it. It would be one of those things that would be in the back of my mind. When I get a thought, I'll jot it down. But I was thinking something along the lines of, where it indicates that, the people who are being picked on are not the crazy people. It's the crazy people are the ones that are making the other person look crazy. And I find the Salem witches extremely fascinating because, the people went nuts. That was a group psychosis.
Well, did you hear the ergot theory?
About the mushrooms?
Well, yeah, that it was a fungus that infected their bread and made them all crazy, but I don't know if that's confirmed or debunked or not.
Well, there's still people that are working on it, and it's always, there's so many references on it. That's something that we could look up and take a real good look at. But many people feel that was, what was happening with them. But I think also the group, the whole group dynamic piece of it, and the group psychosis, that occurred around Trump.
Well,
it's really made people out of their minds. They're not rational.
It's funny because the Salem witch trials are so fucking mild compared to what went on in Europe. Like, they burned people thousands at a time, like.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man. But I think you're really onto something as far as like a group psychosis. I think it's a religious kind of deep connection of, Donald Trump is a violation of all the PC sacredness, and everyone who supports him is therefore a heretic, and we can burn heretics.
Exactly. And I could describe things that contribute to that, like the group dynamic, the mob mentality, and also the theory of contagion, which Freud talked about. A lot of the early psychoanalysts that kind of, somehow got lost and now seems to be coming back again, that there really is something, that you can be contaged. And there were social science studies that were done where you would take a healthy individual, put that person in a group with 5 schizophrenics or five, more, actually it was done with more of the sociopaths. And you would look at certain behaviors to see if the healthy person could bring up the other people, and it didn't. The other people brought that person down, which was really interesting studies. A lot of it done with prison populations, where you take a couple of, the better functioning prisoners who were there on a bad rap, and some of the real deranged ones, the hopelessly pathetic psychopaths, and they would bring down the healthier prisoners in terms of behavior. And there were a ton of social studies done on that.
And you mean to say that, in addition to like putting one, better prisoner with a bunch of bad ones, they tried putting one bad one with a bunch of like not so bad ones, and the numerical superiority didn't outweigh the negativity?
Right. Bad one always won out.
Wow.
The negative had a greater pull than the positive. But those are the kind of things we can talk about, okay?
Word.
But I want to get to your agenda for it. It was really a good one. You did a great job putting it together. I have a couple questions though. What is the WSJ subscription? You've got it under money.
So for my work, I signed up for a subscription, and I gotta make sure I think it's canceled, but I just want to make sure, so it's on the list.
Okay, what is it though? What kind of a magazine is it, or publication?
It's the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, Wall Street Journal, okay.
Yeah.
Did you find it interesting and helpful?
Well, it was purely for work, so I only really looked at the one article that made me, look at the subscription, the free trial or whatever anyway. I didn't look at anything beyond that, but, in an ideal world where I was able to look at every source, throughout the day, I would include them. Whether they're, flawed or not, I just think just one of another, item I'd want in my ecosystem.
Right, I think I would too. I didn't realize that, you get news on the internet, people have their favorite websites and all of that, and just seen over the last year how many sites I used to use that you now have to pay for subscriptions. And I heard some people, maybe on Tucker Carlson, talking about that, how, the whole, maybe it wasn't Tucker Carlson, but it was a formatted news show, how the that idea of buying subscriptions to many of the internet, provided services is kind of saving the industry, The newspapers have gone down, and they don't hardly exist anymore. All of the magazines, but a lot of the online stuff, because so many different people have different interests, has really picked up in terms of having to subscribe to it. And I didn't realize that, other than my own personal experience, where I know that now I can't go to certain websites and read more than one article without subscribing. And I don't know if that's an experience that you've had.
Yeah, man, I haven't really touched articles. I've been meaning to get back to them, but I've just been focused on other goals. But I used to look at Twitter all the time and just follow everyone I could. I've been meaning to, for our podcast as well, to look at some of the new social media stuff like Minds and Parlor, and there's probably different stuff out there, but I'm willing to get us on the fucking bad list if it means audience outreach.
There you go. When you said something before Parlor, what was it?
I could be wrong, but I think it's called like Minds, something like that.
Minds?
I've barely heard of it, so I'll let.
MINDS or something like that.
Pardon?
MINDS.
Almost sounds like MEINZ to me. Minds.
MEINZ.
I have no idea how it's spelled, so I wouldn't take my word on that.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to Google it.
There was a psychiatric website, and I get a lot of reference stuff from it, and they had a great article on people who are resisting vaccinations because of their tremendous fear of needles. And it had stuff in there that I had not read before about, being phobic when it comes to needles, and I wanted to print it out or send it to a patient. And when she got it, it came to her in like Chinese or Sanskrit or something. And then I tried to send one of my daughters an article on parenting from the same website. The same thing happened. They scrambled it. It wouldn't allow me to forward it to another person. So the straightforward article did not go through. And it said it was because I did not have a subscription to their website or whatever it was. So I found that interesting.
Well, I guess you can make a business argument that you don't want all your content being able to just leak out, because once it's out, anyone can kind of copy it, multiply it, put it on the internet. But personally, my kind of, and in fairness, we're in the podcast business, so all the content's fucking gonna be free anyway.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe I'll set up a voluntary Patreon if we get an audience, but I'm not worried about monetizing right now.
Yeah, but one of the things this article had said that I had not considered was a high percentage of people who would be, that they don't mention when they say who wants the vaccine and who doesn't, that the high percentage of people, by high I have no idea what number they were talking about, I have tremendous fear of needles. And for 2 days I wanted to go do some research on it. Since I read it, I haven't had a chance. That, it's a consideration that I have not heard mentioned on TV at all when they talk about people who want to get vaccinated and don't. Nobody mentions, well, maybe there's a percentage of people who just are needle phobic.
Yeah, I never even didn't even consider that. I can tell you though, I don't want the vaccine because needles don't bother me all that much, but I just don't fucking trust it. And I can't believe I'm talking like an anti-vaxxer, Bob. It's really like...
Yeah, well, I had that on my list. I wondered, really an open thought about what your thinking was about it.
I'm just gonna fucking suck it up and get it, and if I die, I die. Everyone else will too, so whatever, I won't be alone. Right. But...
So you're leaning towards getting it?
I'm gonna get it just to shut the family up.
Okay.
Because it will be held against me forever if I don't.
Yeah.
So, but I'll be 100% honest with you, Bob. My whole life, I never really Like, to me, vaccines, I just never even thought about it. Like, of course, it's science. Like, take your medicine, whatever.
Yeah.
And then, you know, in more recent years, I've heard, just some. I guess there are like some more fair criticisms where it's like, these things have to be manufactured, and if it's like not, well done, you can get like a defunct product, which is very different from like we're plotting to give you syphilis or whatever. But,
Mm-hmm.
I just, with this COVID shit, I personally don't fucking trust it. I'll take every other vaccine in the fucking world and not even think about it, but I just, for whatever reason, this one, I just expect, I'm gonna be fucking. Find out 5 years from now that I'm fucking sterile or some shit.
Right. Right. Yeah, no one quite knows what to expect. I mean, for
I
me,
mean, it's
it's
been
nothing.
rushed
I
and
don't care.
everything.
I don't have a choice. I'm allergic to all of them, so I can't even give it a shot.
Yeah.
So it takes me out of the loop anyway.
Yeah.
I know your mother was pushing for it. She said something about trying to set up an appointment for you somewhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that this week and just try to get it over with.
Okay. Is she still? I had put the pulmonologist in there too. Is she still pushing on that? For you to see the pulmonologist?
Yeah, so much so that it's pissing me off and just making me say fuck it completely.
Really?
I never really cared to begin with. They keep projecting disease on me. We've discussed this before,
Yeah.
where I'm just the fucking parasite
Right.
because I smoke pot, and it's like, I heard you coughing! You cough all the time! It's like, if I smoke 3 joints in a fucking row and then
Yeah.
cough a little,
Yeah.
I don't think that's very shocking. If I continue coughing, like, after that, that's one thing, but it's like, yeah, when I smoke a fucking joint, I might cough. It might hit me a little hard, might
Yeah.
make me cough a little, but then after that, I'm good. I'm like on the bike every day. I'm fucking meditating, you know. I
Mm-hmm.
do want to just cut back on smoking overall, and I have been cheating with the nicotine. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so my sort of bullshit self compromise is that I would never smoke a cigarette proper, like, just pull one out of the pack and light it up. I'd
Okay.
only crumble it and, mix it with joints or whatever. With one exception, a few nights ago I was waiting for someone and I just decided, fuck it, let's just see what it's like. And I didn't even get halfway through it where I'm like, I don't even really like this, you know?
Were you trying to mix weed with tobacco?
Yeah. But,
Okay.
but so yeah, I don't smoke any of the, cigarettes on their own. Which does actually, I think, do a lot to make me feel like I'm not even really, you know, doing it. But I do plan to cut that out by March, so, within basically a little over a week.
Your birthday is on, is it the 6th?
Yeah,
Okay.
I figure that's a good cutoff date.
Yeah.
Easy to remember.
What are you going to cut out exactly?
Tobacco.
Okay.
And then once that's gone, I'll focus on weed next. But just living with this family, Bob, I want to kill everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can we take a quick break just to insert the 30 seconds and then we'll be right back?
Yeah, make it 40 because I think my car alarm's going off. I think the kid doing this almost a hit. Alright, so let's take about a 40-second break, okay?
Yeah, why don't you just call me back when you're ready?
Okay.
Alright, bye.
Sounds good. Okay.
Hey people, we're gonna try something a little new this time around. We're gonna take a quick 30-second meditation break. Just focus on your breathing. That's all there is to it. If you're in a position to do so, and it's comfortable, you may close your eyes. Ready? Go. Alright, let's get back to the show. Hello.
Hi, I am back, and I was right. He accidentally nudged up against one of the cars and set off the alarm. But
Well,
reset.
there goes his tip.
Oh, but yeah, I pay him well enough, so the tip's included.
Yeah. I'm kidding. Do you? But yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm looking at my note here when we left off. You were talking about your birthday as a stop date for tobacco.
yes, correct. And I believe the last thing I said is that I want to kill my family.
Right. Okay, right.
Yeah.
I didn't even write that down. Okay, so I believe that there's no serious intent there,
No.
and that you do not have a plan, right?
You know, it's funny, I was thinking about this earlier, Bob. Back, you know, when I was off the sertraline and in kind of like rage mode and etc., I've noticed when I have like murder fantasies, I feel that even if I am a psycho, I'm like not really a threat to society because for some reason it's always with a fucking spear.
Okay.
It's always a fucking spear, and it's like how many people am I really gonna take down with a fucking? Where am I gonna get a spear? Like,
That's what I was thinking.
am I gonna fucking sharpen a rock in my backyard? What the like?
Right. A slingshot and a rock.
A slingshot. You know, it's funny. Slings are actually a lot more deadly than people realize.
I'll bet.
Yeah, ancient world they were used all the time.
Well, that's probably why you thought about the spear, because of your interest in ancient history.
Yeah, man. It's always.
Bows and arrows and spears and things like that.
You know, it's always it's always not just a spear. It's fucking Greek hoplite style. So for some reason, I always imagine I have a shield in my left hand, for I guess maybe just balance, but I don't really use it a lot.
When you say Greek, would you say Greek hoplite?
Yeah, that's the name for a like Greek warrior who fights in a phalanx, which is pretty much all of them.
Right.
Which is just a big, you know, you can think of a porcupine, but all the spikes are facing one way, and everyone's got their shields overlapping, protecting the guy to their left.
Yeah. Fascinating to see the formations.
Yeah.
And just to think about the way that wars were fought. You know, line up, move forward. You know, step over the dead people, line up again, move forward.
And it's funny because one thing I always try to like, it's always hard to wrap my head around is like the arms race, because what happened in Greece is just that the phalanxes just started getting bigger and bigger. Like they just started using longer and longer spears and trying different things, but and ended up actually biting them in the ass because I think they got too used to fighting in one way, and then the Romans came and were like, we can figure a way around this.
Right, we're going to put tips of fire on the end of it.
Yeah, Hollywood loves everything on fire.
Yeah, speaking of bit in the ass, I heard a thing on the news today that some lady and her husband were they actually showed the outhouse, were camping up in Maine, and it was pretty snowy, and there was this sort of decrepit looking outhouse was all the only facility they had, and the wife got up to go to the bathroom and went into the outhouse, and a bear was in the toilet and bit her in the ass. I thought, this is incredible. It was the true story. It was on the news. She had to go get her bites taken care of.
Yeah, man.
The mental torment though must have been incredible.
Oh yeah, who would not have PTSD from that? But
Yeah.
I have I probably shouldn't be talking about this on a public broadcast, but I looked up I can't remember, it was like some Tim Dillon, I think he was a guest on someone's show, and they played yeah, it was Whitney Cummings' show, and they played a fucking clip of a guy getting eaten by a bear, and they wouldn't show the you know, the actual clip on YouTube on the video, so I'm like, I gotta check this out. And yeah, I watched a guy basically get eaten by a bear, and I was kind of like, well, sucks for that guy.
So you actually went to YouTube and you got this, you were able to dig it up?
I don't think it was on. I can't remember where I found it, but I just googled like I don't know if it was India or somewhere, but like someplace in Asia, man eaten by bear.
Wow.
It's funny, like, if you brought back, like, gladiator games and, said that's all gonna be on the internet on this date, everyone on the planet in America would be like, fucking, oh, that's disgusting, that's barbaric, and then, like, the
Yep.
fucking night comes and the ratings are through the roof.
Exactly.
Yo, dude, how's a fucking lion gonna match up against a bear, bro? This would be fucking rad. I know it's kind of fucked up, but, like, where else are you gonna see this?
Yeah. It's like the era of snuff films, which, pretty much I think hard to see anymore, don't exist. They were always questionable anyway, but were very popular in the 80s, was it? Or the late 70s, early 80s snuff films.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I've only seen like one of those, Faces of Death, which is really just kind of a dumb series. But yeah, apparently it's real footage of like all kinds of people, dying and stuff. And the only one thing that really like left an imprint on my brain, like probably won't forget it because it's super fucked up, is one of those Japanese fishing boats where they have all these dolphins on the boat, and like, let's just say not all of them are quite dead, and it's a bit it was a bit messed up. I couldn't help but laugh a little because like just dolphins make really weird fucking noises when they're dying, but it also really just mentally fucked me up for a day. I was just like, yeah, it was you saw a lot.
How did the other people on the boat react?
I don't remember, but I mean, these are, it's a Japanese fucking fishing boat, so these guys probably do it all the time, and, it's just, I mean, why did concentration camps exist? Because it's fucking weird what gets normal to people,
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Anyway, when you said you wanted to kill your family, I have to, clinically ask you,
With a
make sure
gun.
that this is just and you have no intention or plan.
No. They're not a fatal threat to me at all, so I have no need to dispose of them.
Okay, but if you didn't get the vaccination, you would be a persona non grata, correct? You'd be an outlier, an outcast.
I would be an untouchable, correct?
You're untouchable. There you go. So you will get it. You just haven't set it up yet.
Yeah.
How can you get it? You're not old.
Heart condition, is one, and I'm a smoker. So
Okay, they actually consider that as a criteria.
apparently so.
Okay, okay. Because I'm sure your mother used some negotiating points to set up the appointment. I could see with a heart condition, underlying medical condition, would be acceptable. But now it brings us to this pulmonologist question. What's the deal with seeing a pulmonologist, and why does it have to be a pulmonologist?
I have no idea. I don't have a problem.
Okay.
My dad even said, "Oh, you might not have any problems." I'm like, well, why am I even fucking seeing him then?
And what did he say?
It's like, oh, you should see a liver doctor. I don't drink.
Right?
You know?
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't had a physical in a while, so you can see a regular doctor.
No, I have had a physical recently, so I don't know what the fucking issue is.
Oh, okay. When was your physical was fairly recently, wasn't it?
I think it was in the fall. Yeah,
Okay.
late
Okay.
fall maybe.
But your mother's pushing the pulmonologist because you smoke.
Also, she's just well, the thing is, I did have a couple days over a couple weeks where I had sick days. I had one day where I was just puking up a storm at like 3:30, and it was just really shitty on everyone's part because it's one thing to say like are you okay, why were you throwing up, what's the deal, and another to just keep bringing everything back to, well, you woke me up.
You woke people up.
You know what I mean? That's what it kept coming fucking back to, so it felt a little disingenuous to me.
Right, but we talked about that. Certainly, it only lasted a couple days, and there was no indication that this was some long-term issue.
Yeah, I'll never know what hit me where the day, like, I was exhausted and, like, it was just, couch locked, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I think, it's just possible that the throwing up at 3 a.m. may have just because when I got back on sertraline, apparently that can be, like, a side effect, so maybe it was that. I don't know.
Because you hadn't been on it for a while?
For a few days, yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was pretty brutal, but I was fine the next day. So, it's funny. There's an Amazon warehouse that's gonna be built um, within proximity to my neighborhood,
Really?
and sometimes I drive by it with my dad, and he always says drone Amazon. So I think they hear us talk shit through our phones, and I think they've been trying to poison me, which is why I get like sick but not really. Like I'm kind of like half dead for a few hours, but if I throw up, I'm like it's out of my system and I'm good to go.
So you think it's Amazon?
I think Amazon is trying to poison me.
No, but you could have. You could have. I mean, you could make a case for it.
What are you talking about? All right, tinfoil hat time. Let's go.
Yeah.
Why do you think Amazon's poisoning me, Bob?
Well, because they have the capability of doing it. When you think of all those people, the Americans who went down in 3 different countries a couple of years ago, and they couldn't figure out the reason why, and then somebody hypothesized it's because of vibrational frequency. Blamed it on the microwaves. I mean, they can do anything.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Well, at least they're probably affecting the whole neighborhood then. So again, at least I'm fitting in.
Stay away from 5G towers.
I hear that's, I don't automatically trust everything Elon Musk says, but I heard him recently on Rogan, and he says there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay. All right.
So hopefully he's right, but maybe he's in on the plot.
Exactly. And what show was he on?
Rogan.
Oh, okay. Weren't they giving Rogan a tough time?
Oh, they've been trying to cancel him forever, but, it's funny, there's like a meme that he's like the final boss of cancel culture.
Okay.
And they can't beat him. But,
I've heard the arguments that, there people have lotteries, like who's going to be the first, who are they going to get first, Joe Rogan or Tucker Carlson. That's what I put on my list, who's going to pick up the golden mic, who's going to take it from here, from Rush.
I got no idea, man. But I would bet they cancel Tucker before they cancel Rogan.
Yeah, I would agree.
I mean, Rogan has like Barry Weiss and, Miley Cyrus and, he has a lot of lefties on his show, and, Tucker will interview liberals and such, but, he can't do like 3-hour just, kind of chilling and broing out the way Rogan can. That's part of why I think Rogan's kind of safe, because he can just have a normal, even if he has like a political figure, he can just talk about fucking hunting elk or whatever for 5 hours.
Yeah, I know. It's also a podcast versus TV too, so I would agree with you.
Yeah. And also, people just really hate Tucker. He's kind of one of those scapegoat figures you could throw in there.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I think for a few reasons. For one, I think Tucker... So, I've heard... I can't remember who was making this argument, but they were talking about how, you compare Tucker to, say, like, Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity is, like, way more right-wing. Like, I guess, like, Gene... whatever, and Laura Ingraham and figures like I don't know, like, personally for sure, but I guess figures like that are a lot more right wing than Tucker Carlson. But the reason they go after him is, for one, I think he's more actually in the middle, and I think a more thoughtful and persuasive, and he comes from the left. Like, he's a SoCal boy, and and he's seen his state go to shit, and he didn't love it, and he's also just really good at mocking the left, which is another reason I'm sure they hate him. Joe Rogan won't I mean, he will make fun of it and shit, but he won't do a solo. Let's just have 20 minutes of me just tearing Chaz apart, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tucker will do it. I heard that Ben Epstein, is that his first name, Ben?
I don't know.
Epstein, the young guy, right-wing guy, Jewish guy who's written some books and been harassed on college campuses.
Yeah, the whole college campus thing is just really telling, It's just, people...
I can't remember the guy's name. I'm thinking of, is it Epstein?
I really, to be honest, don't know who you're talking about.
Okay, think about the young Jewish guy.
Ben Shapiro?
Ben Shapiro, yeah, there it is, okay.
Oh, yeah.
There's my minimal dementia there. Ben Shapiro is going to be a big player. He's developed a production company, a movie company. He's hired some Hollywood type people and some name, recognizable actors and actresses, and he's going to start producing movies and things like that. And they said he's going to be a huge player, and he may be the one, maybe not on mic. It would fill Rush Limbaugh's shoes, but will fill that void in a big way, which is why he's been sort of quiet the last couple of years.
Yeah, man. And I heard quite a bit about that Gina, what's her face, who was on that Mandalorian Disney show, and she just said, hey, let's not demonize all our neighbors here, and they kicked her off, and Ben picked her up, and it's really, I haven't actually seen any of trailers or actual content or anything, but irregardless, I just really like that they're actually creating something, you know what I mean? Because it's so easy to sit around and bitch about Hollywood and say the movies suck and all that stuff, and it is a lot harder with movies as opposed to say music, but if people sit around saying, oh, hip-hop's dead, I'm like doggy, if you know better, write a fucking ill song and bring it back. What are you bitching about?
Dead? Yeah.
If you don't like the fucking culture, make a new one. They won't let you in the club, start your own club.
Yeah, exactly. And anything they've done has been mostly religious, so this could be a new venture. I mean, it's got to be interesting. I think that I don't want to get so many politics today, but the whole thing's going to get interesting with the epidemic and with the influx of the illegal immigrants or whatever this joker says he wants to call him. He's pretty sad figure, isn't he? Biden.
Yeah, man.
He's got his wife. They I guess, said he can't have his wife sitting next to him doing all these interviews. So they have to prop him up every now and then, put him out there on his own with 6 monitors. So he doesn't screw it up.
I think he's just going to be a dead sock puppet for 4 months before anyone even knows.
Exactly.
No, yeah, I haven't looked into Biden's immigration reform at all, and I've heard 8-year path to citizenship and stuff, and stuff like that sounds all well and good to me, but obviously once you look into the details it could paint a different picture. But the concern with me is that why is California been hit so hard? I mean, obviously because of rednecks in Florida, but also because there's just a shit ton of immigrants who live in very condensed households where they have a lot of people in a small area, so it just spreads really quickly. And I got nothing against immigrants, but I wonder if let's just say theoretically Biden went open borders, super crazy leftist, how much that might impact the pandemic.
Well, I think it would have to on some level.
Yeah.
Basically, if you're letting people into your country and you're not vetting them, regardless of where they're coming from. I mean, the Eastern Asians, when they were coming in to this country, when they started the influx many years ago, there were a lot of diseases, a lot of conditions they were bringing into the country, and you never heard it from mainstream media. But I would hear it from doctors at the Dorchester House, the inner city. I was on the board, inner city clinic, huge, and they would tell us on the side, get your kids vaccinated, do this, do that. You're not believing the stuff that's coming in here. We haven't seen these diseases before. So it's been going on for a while, but it just hasn't been publicized in the mainstream media. And it just stands to reason if you're coming from another country that doesn't, do a good job with you medically, and you're coming into a strange country, you're going to be bringing something with you.
Yeah. And I would want to, I'm curious about the nuances of that because, on the one hand, you definitely have people who are migrating just because, they're fucking, dirt poor and probably can't afford great, medical stuff. But on the other hand, I've heard, Americans going to Mexico to get, medical fucking care, so I wonder, what I don't know, it's just a very interesting, complicated thing, but
It is.
yeah.
It is. But let's get back to your agenda because I only have a few minutes here, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, I don't want to waste it on Biden. What else did you have on there? I can't find my list here.
Let me see if I can pull it up. Quarantine Blues, which was about killing my family.
Okay.
Politics, which we've discussed, although I may have one closing rant at the end of this, and the goals list. And then we talked about the vaccination of Pulmonologist. We only brushed a little on who's going to take the golden mic.
That's okay. We can get back to that another time.
Yeah. But
the schedule you have on the list you sent me here, is that, how did that develop? Over just sort of organically?
Organically as I went, and I just kind of updated each day, so I can see, for example, for Python, I've been able to put in a little more time each week and build that up, so that's good. And it's just a good excuse me, for me to make sure I get a good amount of exercise in,
Yeah, that's the one I thought. Looks like you're putting in a lot of time on the exercise.
Yeah, I just, it's just really good for me, and,
Good. What are you doing?
I've been using the bike a lot lately, just because it's new. It's a new shiny toy and I like it. But I've also been I'm kind of doing a little experiment where I'm kind of just following kettlebell routines for a few months just to see what happens, and kind of doing dumbbells sparingly.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably end up mixing it all back in, but once it gets nice out, I hope I can, it'll be a pandemic still, but hopefully I can go out for runs and shit, but we'll see.
Yeah. What was the first thing you said that because it's new, you're doing it a little bit more?
The bike machine.
The bike machine?
Yeah, my family, we all chipped in and got a one of those exercise bikes that we put in the basement, and it's front on the TV so I can play my Call of Duty while I'm biking.
Oh, nice. Okay, I didn't know that. You told me that. I didn't hear it, didn't digest, but that's good. That's great. That's great. And what about the social interaction? You've had that for several weeks. Has been your goal, is to, a little more social interaction, social contact.
Yeah, so I had someone listed for this week. Someone I just shot the shit with for, maybe a half hour to an hour. But after this, I'm actually planning to text, a friend of mine I haven't heard from in a few months. So that's going to count for next week, both as a social thing, if I can get a call with them, and the reaching out to someone new. So that'll close that loop.
Do you see this as a difficult task to accomplish?
No, but it's one that I've obviously been procrastinating on.
Yeah, I know, so I bring it up.
Yeah, and I don't know. Sometimes I go on different weird little sprees. Like the last 2 days. Remember that drawing I had of the fish?
Yes.
I've just like the last 2 days. I must have spent like a total of 4 fucking hours just drawing. Like,
Really? Yeah, my granddaughter, my little granddaughter, who was, how old is she? First grade, second grade. I showed it to her the other day. We were looking at pictures on my phone, and she liked it. She said, "Look, what you say? It looked like somebody, some kind of animal with a spear." I said, "Yeah, okay."
huh?
Thought it was pretty cool though.
Yeah, I'm.
Where she was doing, they have very enlightened counselors in her school, and they do some activities that are, psychological activities. One is called squiggles, where you draw a line, and the other person builds on that. You just keep developing it, until it becomes something. And it's a great exercise with children. And she was telling me it looked like the squiggles thing they were doing in school, and I said, yeah, it's kind of that sort of idea.
Yeah,
so, you're readjusted to the meds. Sertraline's okay?
Yeah, I think I'm all square with that.
Sleep?
I had one night where I didn't really sleep this week, but it was fine.
Okay.
Still got up, could work. Maybe got like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours. But, and, that could have just been smoking sativa late at night,
Mm-hmm.
But, end up doing some drawing and, it's nice.
Is sativa the upper or the downer?
That's the upper. That's the more
Sativa's
stimulating.
the upper. Okay, what's the other one called?
Indica.
Indica, okay.
And that's the
How
mellow
about
one.
How about the delivery guy in California, the school committee people? Did you hear about that?
Not familiar.
Who got caught at a school committee meeting, and they didn't think they were on mic or on camera, and they got caught saying these nasty things about the parents and stuff, about the kids going back to school, and it was all caught on mic. They're all in hot water. Like one lady was saying, well, they just want their babysitters back, and other guy said that his brother was a delivery person for medical marijuana, and his delivery, his clientele were mostly these parents who didn't work and whose kids were in school, and they were pissed now that the kids were home because they couldn't smoke as much weed. Like it was all on camera and all it was all recorded. So basically, they all got fired or resigned or whatever. But that was an interesting story.
Nice.
The hot mic. Always watch out for that hot mic.
Yeah, man. I live my life assuming everything's recorded.
Yep. And you know what? You're right. For the most part.
Yeah.
We just do it in a clandestine way. The Chinese they're wide open with it.
Yeah.
You just look up and see the cameras.
Yeah. So is there anything else, or can
Yeah, I know. I have my list, but I don't know what I do with my list. So we can pick it up next week, whatever we missed. Okay.
All right, can I just do a quick closing political
Yeah,
rant?
rant. Go ahead, rant. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, thank you. I just got pissed last night because I was listening to so the New York Times has a podcast called The Daily, even though they only do a podcast like every month or a few weeks.
Okay.
But they did one on about Myanmar, and this figure who I don't know much about, who was like this pro-democracy figure. I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's like Aung San Suu Kyi, some shit like that. And she was a real daughter of Myanmar. Fought for like democracy and stuff, and had a relationship with the military, and had at one point her mother, who was in the United States, got cancer, and the military said you can get on a plane but you can't come back, and she's like, fuck it, I'm gonna stay here and fight for my people. So she became this kind of like folklore figure,
Yeah,
but
she's the one who's the leader of the country.
I don't know, to be honest. And it didn't seem like she was the leader. It wasn't clear to me what her position was, other than she had a lot of connections with the military who at first kind of like wanted to use her. It seemed like they wanted to use her just as like a prop for like, oh yay democracy, but not really. But like it got out of their hands kind of.
Okay.
But the point is for me is that what happened with this lady is that in more recent times with the Rohingya genocide or whatever, she's just totally been a like silent slash an apologist for it, and they played a clip of her saying like, oh, it's not really a genocide, it's a new problem, but it's an old problem too, like some vague dismissive bullshit answer, and how like disgraceful this is and how what a fall from grace it is and everything. And I just started getting fucking heated because I was just thinking of what Biden said about the fucking concentration camps, and I'm like, oh, please bring that up, motherfuckers. But I couldn't stay mad because I looked down at the date of the podcast and it was February 4th, so it was before. But it's just so, because like the New York Times person giving the interview was just like, this is so tragic, like whatever, and like all this messaging of like, oh, don't speak out against evil, but then this Biden shit and just the hypocrisy is just so god damn revolting, bro. It's just fucking wild.
I hear you. The leader of whatever it is, Myanmar, became Myanmar, is, or maybe if she still is, a young, attractive woman who was extremely popular and, dedicated to democracy and all of that. So that's probably who you're talking about.
Yeah, it could be.
I think she's the leader of the country, if she's still in power. I mean, she's been there now for probably, 12 years, maybe. Yeah, at least that long. Because, she was in the news a lot, in the public eye when she first took control. I haven't heard much about her recently.
Yeah.
I hope she hasn't gone over to the dark side.
Well, it looks like she might have, but
yeah, sure. She could probably only sustain so much of the pressure. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing of like, I don't try to hate too harshly on any like, presidents or whatever. Just because you'll never know what it's like to be in a room with the CIA telling you about all the fucking threats we face that no one knows about,
Yeah, and don't say a word about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, the guy talking to me in code, which I think now he was, about the rabbit, You can only imagine what it's like when you're sitting in that room with the CIA. But she was very popular, and, I just haven't heard much about her recently.
Yeah.
She was getting a lot of crap. She was championing democracy and was requiring some changes in the country, and a lot of people hated her. And there was a question about whether she might even get assassinated early on. It's curious. Curious to bring it up all of a sudden.
Yeah. That's also hilarious to me because, I mean, democracy is like kind of a really loose word that means a lot of different things in different contexts, but in a kind of literalist minded sense, I wouldn't say I'm pro democracy per se.
Right, yeah.
Just put me in charge. It'll be fine.
Yeah. I'll vote for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the meantime, keep me posted over the week, okay?
Alright, we'll do, Bob.
Alright, I love the music. The music you put together is great.
Oh, the covers or the
Queens of the Stone Age is Queens of the Stone Age.
Yeah, man.
I hadn't heard them mentioned in a long time. Because I saw them, it was probably 15 years ago.
Yeah, man. The good thing about my playlist as far as like outreach is that I have a lot of different things from different eras, like
it's the best way to do it.
Yeah, man, it can be like fucking Madonna one day
Yeah.
and fucking, some obscure Swedish fucking hard rock shit,
Right, exactly. Or Arthur Brown, I am the god of hellfire and I bring you fire. You ever heard of him?
I've heard that sampled in a lot of hip-hop songs, but I haven't heard that actual original take.
It's been remixed 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah.
But if you can catch one of the originals on YouTube when he sets himself on fire in the asbestos suit, it's worth it.
What's the guy's name?
Arthur Brown.
Arthur Brown.
Yeah, I'm the god of hellfire and I bring you fire.
That's rad.
Yeah. I saw him in the late 60s for almost 10 minutes because they shut down his concert once he set himself on fire. He didn't do much of a show. It was just like 1 or 2 songs. It was all, all theatrics, but he did it well.
And was that like a suicide attempt, or was that just he had a fire suit on?
He had a fire suit on.
Okay.
But the audience, was supposed to just be shocked, and they were. Especially when the fire department would hose them down. Literally.
Oh, yeah.
With the fire hoses.
Oh, yeah, those things are no joke, bro. They'll knock you fucking across the room.
Yeah, they will. So, listen, you take it easy, okay?
Alright, and I'll send you the picture of the fish when it's done, and you take it easy as well.
Okay. Great. Okay.
Alright, peace out, man.
Alright.
Oh, sorry, were you gonna say something?
No, just gonna say goodbye.
Alright, later.
Say adios.
Adios.